Education for Tuesday, September 16th. Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Blakely.
Yes.
Gaspar.
Here.
Hodge.
Here.
Impastato.
Here.
Mock.
Here.
Stoops.
Here.
Dremel.
Here. Dr. Hitchens, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
There are. We would like to do the budget hearing first, even though it looks like we're going to be able to get in all of the public comments anyway, but we'll do the budget hearing first, followed by the public comments on the budget. And then the second thing is we're adding a closed session item, the purchase of or lease of real property for the use of public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired. So we already are going to closed session tonight, and we were just adding one item to the closed session agenda, and there will be no action at all tonight at tonight's meeting. That's my change.
Thanks, Dr. Hitchens. So tonight we'd like to welcome the public to our hearing on the 2014-15 budget. We will begin the hearing with a brief presentation from Assistant Superintendent Mon about the 2014-15 budget. After his presentation, we will hear public comment regarding the budget. There will be no action, reminder, at tonight's meeting on any agenda items. Action for the 2014-15 budget will take place at the regular meeting of the Board of Education at 7 p.m. Next Tuesday, September 23rd. Public comments about the budget will be limited to 3 minutes per person. We ask that you fill out a pink sheet prior to making a public comment. If anyone wanted to comment on anything besides the budget, we'll place you after audience members that are wishing to speak regarding the budget. At 5:30, we will be concluding the public hearing so that the board can enter to closed session. We have a previously scheduled meeting with the Illinois Association of School Board Representatives. So do I have all the pink sheets, Kathy?
Yes, you do.
All right, so Dr. Mann, I will let you present first, and then we'll take public comment.
Sure. The board published the 2014-2015 budget in tentative form on August 12th. We got it posted on the website. The budget summary, along with the budget workshop documents that provided some other layers of detail. That has been up on the website. We did update it last Friday with the updated salary and benefit projections based on the newly ratified agreements. What you see before you projected tonight, there's even a few more tweaks that we've gotten in since last Friday. However, the net effect is relatively minimal from what was published last Friday. So we have before you the budget summary. You also each have a copy of our revenues and expenditures on the state budget form, and we are in the process of getting that online as well. But tonight's public hearing is not necessarily for the board, but it's for the public to be able to provide input to you about the budget. So I would recommend that you open the budget hearing, accept all comments that the public has, and then close the hearing. And if you have any further direction for the administration prior to next week's adoption, we would welcome that.
All right, then I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing on the 2014-15 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Impastato, second by Stoops. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the public hearing is now open. I would like to call Ron Reckenmacher to the table to speak.
To the table.
Okay. Is the mic necessary or?
It's just so that they can hear you when we film our meetings.
Yeah, I don't know how close it is, if it's one of those like choral type mics or. Okay, so hi, I'm Ron Reckenmacher, 415 Grove Court. I'm an engineer at Fermilab, and I have a little bit of math for you tonight. I hope that's okay. Okay. So when considering operating fund revenues and property taxes, I see it's become standard practice to, quote, have year-over-year growth limited to consumer price index on existing property. This bullet item has appeared in at least the last 2 budget presentations. This CPI index increase is basically what everybody would like their salaries or their income to increase each year by a minimum. That's all the residents of Batavia. Okay, so in addition to those CPI increases, the district has also had additional property tax revenues because of increased EAV of non-residential properties. You all know about the TIF and such. Okay, so the question is should the CPI increases continue this year? That's the question I have. When considering this and looking at Batavia demographics, Batavia's median household income between 2010 and 2013, basically the last 4 years, has not kept up with CPI increases. The CPI increases from 2010 to 2013 averaged just over 1.5, the CPI increases have averaged just over 1.5%. But the median income increase from 82,422 in 2010 to 84,253 in 2013 represents an average annual increase of just 0.735%. That's less than three-fourths of a percent, less than three-fourths of a percent. For the last several years, the bulk of Batavians have had to spend it faster than they receive it. Okay? So Batavia is struggling economically. This is also the impression that I get from sitting in on many of the city's joint committee of the whole meetings. And it's all consistent. It's consistent with the low median incomes. But it should be noted that while the median income only increased, 0.735% annually, the average income of Batavians has increased 2.008%. So that could be confusing. Somebody might say, well, hey, the average Batavian, they increased 2%, our CPI is only 1.5, everybody's happy, they got money, let's take it from them. So this is confusing. So it's extremely important to understand the difference between the average increase and the median increase. And a simple example to help with the explanation. If everybody in our town, if everything's remained basically the same except for Bill Gates, if he moved into Batavia, the median wouldn't change, but the average would go way up. Okay. So the situation we have here is that a relatively few Batavians have done very well. So the point here is that the median value is a much better representation of the bulk or the core of Batavians, and that the average value should not be used. The bottom line is that it is not appropriate at this time to implement the year-over-year growth limited to consumer price index increase. So I please suggest that everybody lower the levy. Don't increase the levy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Joe Marconi?
Yeah, I know it must be a chore to see me here as often as I am. But I paid $160,000 in taxes this year. And of that amount, close to $100,000 goes to the school board. And I'm a firm reader of the New York Times. And I like to look at the houses for sale in the New York Times because they're always 100, 200,000, and $1 million, $2 million. But anyway, it's very interesting to note that last week there was a house in Seattle, Washington that sold for $1,400,000. And the taxes on that were $6,000. And if that home was here in Batavia, we'd have a tax of maybe $75,000. But anyway, I don't know if the school board realizes the problems that the city of Batavia has. We have a net asset value of $194 million. And we owe $240 million. And I think that the school board really has to really consider what is happening, because if you don't have a strong Batavia, you will not have a strong school board, because the money has to come out of someplace. You're talking about giving $3 million in the last 2 years out of our general fund to pay for the electricity that we didn't use. And we have to be very, very careful. I'm very proud of the school board, I really am. And I'm not saying, I think that in better times, but these are not better times, especially in Batavia. One has to just look around and take a look and see that there are a tremendous amount of homes for sale in Batavia. And if you go to look in downtown Batavia, you'll see a lot of for rent signs. And we have to do something about it, because if we don't do something about it, we're going to be in trouble. And I ask you, and I plead with you, I think that we ought to start pushing back a little bit. I don't see why we should give a teacher a 3% increase when the cost of living in Batavia maybe is 1.6 or 1.5. That's double the national average. And that's what we're doing, so we have to be very careful. And I plead with you to be careful with how we spend our money. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Michelle Olache?
I would like to remind all the board members of the board member oath and conduct that you swore to when you took office. You swore to, quote, "respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of our school district's assets." Here's your opportunity to represent us, the taxpayers of Batavia, and listen to our concerns tonight. I don't understand how a school district with a budget of over $85 million tries to explain this budget in only 9 pages. I believe that we, the citizens of Batavia, have a right to know exactly where our taxes are being spent. One example of this is to have only $1,000 budgeted for the capital projects fund. I would guess that the capital projects would be things like fixing leaky roofs or old furnaces or any major repairs. What exactly is this $1,000 for? Please look over this budget very carefully. Please ask for more details. Please don't raise our taxes and ask to collect up to the levy again. And please keep your fellow citizens in mind as you vote to spend our money. Thank you.
Thank you. Sylvia Capel?
As this is a hearing for public comments on the budget, I wish I could provide deep, considered comment. But there is little in the budget as presented to effectively evaluate. The only thing I could definitively comment on is that you have to stop raising taxes by the maximum allowed by law. It is simply not sustainable. The tax cap is not there as a mandate, but as a control for those who would treat taxpayer dollars as their playground. You don't have to tax to the max every year. Last year, we received over $6 million from the outlets mall that you will now be receiving every year. Please, let that be enough for a while. Please factor out of your budget the 1.5% planned property tax increase. Through the Lower the Levy effort and recently through petition circulation for the city's electricity problem, I've talked to many people in Batavia. Very many have expressed their concerns over their property taxes, saying they are moving out or have plans to move out of Batavia because it is fast becoming too expensive to stay. I have not met anyone who has said that Batavia is a good place to set down roots and retire in. At least not now, as they watch their taxes go up every year, due mostly to the school district. Please stop the incessant spending increases. I wish I could offer suggestions of where you could save money, maybe something you've missed or something outside the box of the way things are always done. But with your budget, neither I nor any of the intelligent, talented, experienced people of various backgrounds who live in the Batavia School District have any idea where our money is being spent. If you have been enlightened by private meetings with district staff, as Ms. Dremel had indicated in an email response, would you please share that information with the public? If I were sitting in your seats, I'd have a ton of questions that I'd want to know before authorizing the spending of $85 million in other people's hard-earned money. Just some of the questions off the top of my head are, is the $500,000 initial investment for a new maintenance shed included in the budget, or just the $135,000 to fix the current one, as originally anticipated? How much is budgeted for the Batavia Fine Arts Center, which has operated at a loss since it opened? Have there been any changes to avoid future losses and maybe even turn a profit from the shows that use our facilities? How were the millions of dollars from the outlets mall divided and spent? How did the BEA and VESPA salary increases affect the budget? The teacher salaries are, after all, rising faster than the rate of inflation. Other schools promote one-to-one technology as a way to save money on textbooks and paper. Now that all students in grades 6 through 12 have Chromebooks, how much money has been saved? And the big question, which Mrs. Alachi had mentioned, is what is the capital projects fund for? There's never any money in the fund. Yet supposedly there's $1.5 million per year spent on capital projects. Maybe you have the answers to all these questions and more. I certainly hope so, because of the weightiness and the importance of the decision you make on this budget that affects all of the KV. Finally, it appears that the budget is very malleable. From the time it was first posted till Friday, there have been $500,000 here, $80,000 there, and just about every fund, money has been changed and moved around. So there is time, obviously it's very malleable, so it would be very easy to take out that 1.5% increase if you really want to do that and help us taxpayers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate everyone coming in tonight for your comments, and we thank you for sharing your comments. On September 23rd, we will vote at our regularly scheduled meeting regarding the budget. And that concludes our public hearing for tonight. So I would entertain a motion to enter into closed session for the purpose of self-evaluation, practices and procedures, or professional ethics when meeting with representatives of a statewide association of which the public body is a member, and also the purchase or lease of a real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired. I would entertain a motion.
So
Moved by Locke, second by Impastato. Kathy, would you call the roll?
Blakely.
yes.
Gaspar.
Yes.
Hodge.
Yes.
Impastato.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Stoops.
Yes.
Dremel.
Yes. Then that concludes our public portion of the meeting, and we'll be moving into closed session in this room now.